in what has to get the most ironic event in this particular campaign season, Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm sorry, that's not an ironic attack. I'm thinking of something else. Tulsi Gabbard is suing Google. Why is she suing Google? Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this channel and you find yourself coming back to this content or this channel often, please consider supporting through PayPal or Patreon. Even $1 helps. Google is an untrustworthy actor in this process. And so I am all for Tulsi Gabbard in this lawsuit. Initially, I was thinking of something else because I started off thinking the show about something that was somewhat ironic. Tulsi Gabbard hits Kamala Harris saying that she's unfit for president, saying that she doesn't lack she lacks the faculties of commander-in-chief. Early on, she hit Kamala Harris. That's a side conversation. That's a whole separate video. Let's talk about this video. So this came out in the New York Times. This is the Gateway Pundit. She's reviewing the story for the Times, or she's reviewing the story on top of the Times. Tulsi Gabbard is suing Google for $50 million for censoring her campaign. Now, what this boils down to is, if you remember, after that first debate where she hit Ryan, put him down. I used the terminology, put him down like a bad mule, essentially on this notion of neocon and foreign policy. Tulsi Gabbard went up in the search results, meaning people wanted to know, who was this person? What is this anti-war platform? Why is she one of the only, maybe two candidates on that stage that has somewhat of an anti-war platform? What is this woman about? People wanted to know. They were interested. She just put this guy down. This guy's a neocon. Who is this person who did this? Well, during that time frame, it seems that Google suspended the campaign's advertising account for 6 hours from June 7th to June 28th, immediately following the debate when the searches for Tulsi Gabbard were trending at their highest. The lawsuit was filed in the Los Angeles federal court on Thursday, the New York Times reported. They're seeking an injunction against Google to prevent them from continuing to meddle in the election, and they're seeking damages of $50 million. Google's discriminatory actions against my campaign are reflective of how dangerous their complete dominance over the internet search is, and how the increasing dominance of big tech companies over our public discourse threatens our core American values, Representative Gabbard said in a statement to the Times. This is a threat to free speech, fair elections, and to our democracy, and I intend to fight on behalf of all Americans. God bless her. And she's, by the way, correct. Do not misunderstand me. Two things are true at once. There are sections of the American public, to the left and to the right, that look at censorship. And we find that to be an extraordinary big deal, because it seems that these media companies, who at this point essentially own the commons, control what gets put out into the public. And it seems that that release valve has favorites. And considering that, we're in this thing in the commons, we're trying to get public opinion and everything else, and we're trying to pull the public to our particular point of view and everything else, it seems that there's a certain bias in that release valve. Now, are they attacking Tulsi Gabbard on this? Google says no. They says, look, it was a mistake. It just kind of happened with automated processes. There's nothing to see here, folks. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to get to Google's point of view for the moment, but two things are true at once. What Tulsi Gabbard is talking about here is this notion of censorship, and this notion of our commons, our ability to talk and interact with one another being controlled by these corporate entities that make choices of winners and losers. Her point is, that's not fair. There's a political point behind this, because Tulsi Gabbard is, let's be honest, the right wing loves her. But there's faction of the left that love her also. And this very specific issue of censorship is something that both sides care about. Her filing this lawsuit works on 2 points. It works on the political point of drawing people to her side that care about this notion of censorship and care about this notion of these big digital tech companies controlling the commons and controlling what gets put out to the American public as being okay to put out versus not okay to put out. And we're not talking about overtly racist rhetoric. We're not talking about people who are Klansmen and whatnot. We're talking about just political opinion, where winners and losers are chosen. You don't believe me? Look at YouTube. YouTube, when they're putting out videos, if you're talking about real things that took place that just so happened functions in the context of war, if you even bring up Iran, they demonetize your video. But understand what that means. When they're demonetizing a video, they are creating a disincentive for you to create content on that subject matter. And not just content on the subject matter, even whether or not that subject matter would be seen. Now, if you are MSNBC, if you're CNN, if you're one of these big media organizations, it doesn't matter if you talk about that content. They will push that content, and they will push that content over independent creators. It doesn't matter if the creator is being honest. It doesn't matter if the creator is being right. It matters less. They pick winners and losers. They censor certain content that they don't particularly like. It doesn't matter if the content is wrong. They still censor it because it doesn't fit within what they want the public to hear in regards to public discourse. This works on both levels. This works on the level of politics, of I want people to realize I am fighting for this notion of censorship. That's the issue that works on the left and on the right, and to some degree explains why right-wingers do like her, because not many elements of the left are taking up this issue. But again, it also works on this notion of it is possible that they were indeed doing this, seeing as Tulsi Gabbard was hated by elements of the Democratic Party, and big tech has favorites. A Google spokesperson told The Hill that the account was suspended due to large spending changes that were detected automatically. We have automated systems that flag unusual activity on all advertiser accounts, including large spending changes, in order to prevent fraud and protect our customers, the spokeswoman said. In this case, our system triggered suspension and the account was reinstated shortly thereafter. Her campaign says that the increased spending came because she was the most searched candidate following the debate. The lawsuit also alleges that Google is sending their campaign emails to people's spam folder at a disproportionately higher rate compared to the other campaigns. Google's arbitrary and capricious treatment of the Gabbard campaign should raise concerns for policymakers everywhere about the company's ability to use their dominance to impact political discourse in a way that interferes with the upcoming 2020 presidential election, the lawsuit said. To this day, Google has not provided a straight answer, let alone a credible one, as to why Tulsi's political speech was silenced when millions of people wanted to hear from her. And by the way, think back to 2016. Search results under Google dealing with Hillary Clinton were different than search results for things like DuckDuckGo. If you were to put in Clinton and emails into a Google search back in 2016, you wouldn't get per se this notion of the Clinton email scandal. You may get other items. It does seem that the search results that Google was involved in, regardless of what Google is saying here, were contorted. It does seem like they were contorted. Good on Tulsi. The politics work. Meaning from the standpoint of the left and the right that care about this issue of censorship and free speech. But beyond the politics working, there is a there to it that I'm glad that she's drawing a circle around. Shout out to Tulsi. Thanks all. Like, share. At the last minute. You got me at the last minute. All right, let's see it. And I know who this is. I have an idea on who this is. Let me guess. All right. Kills for a living. Bam! How do I know? I've been calling trash candidate for months, but I never said she was an idiot. Yes, now she's an idiot. Oh God. Suing Google is a waste of time and money. Can't wait till she drops out. She's not wasting money on this. What are you talking about? Why do you assume she's spending money on this? And how much money do you think she's spending in context to the political attention she's getting from this? Look, Tulsi Gabbard, up to this point, wasn't getting any press or any buzz. She comes out and she says Kamala Harris can't, doesn't have the chops to be commander-in-chief. She's on all sorts of media, CNN, Fox News, the works. She comes out again. I'm suing Google for $50 million. And they put her on the front page or on the pages of the New York Times. And you're calling her an idiot for doing this? You understand that Tulsi Gabbard's goal is to get on the stage on the third debate. In doing so, she needs to get as much attention as she can. She needs to write a fire. She needs to literally set herself on fire. And for all intents and purposes, she has. Beforehand, the only way she was talked about was vilified and everything else, but initially she was ignored. Now, if you look at MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, New York Times, she's all over the place. She's doing what she's supposed to do to get on the third stage. Now, it's not sexy. It's not policy oriented. No. But it's politics. And I keep making this point to people that it doesn't matter whether it's good, bad. It doesn't matter if it's purely policy. All of that stuff only matters on a certain level. They have objectives. And those objectives have certain things that work for those objectives. And the only thing that really matters to the candidates involved in the process is whether or not X or Y works to get them to that particular third debate. That's all that matters. Everything else is subordinate to that. Because if they make it to the third debate, they're still alive. If they don't, they're not. Survival in all contexts matters more than anything else. I'm just saying. And, so you can hit her for it. You can call it stupid. However, it is on the pages of the New York Times. So regardless of how stupid it is, she's drawing attention to herself. Her objective was accomplished. The same thing with the hitting Harris on it. One of my subscribers said she better have a better answer for saying Harris is not commander-in-chief worthy. That is true. She better have a better answer for it. But at the very least, it draws a circle around it. The catch here is if she can't sustain it. If she gets on that debate stage with Harris and this particular answer comes up and she can't sustain what she just said, she is going to lose support. It's risky to say that Harris is not worthy for commander-in-chief, but she better have a damn good answer for it. Now, if she does have a good answer for it and Harris can't match up for this, then Harris will be weaker for this. But this is a risky venture to do this. And yes, she's doing it. It's not stupid by any means. If she can sustain it, it's pretty goddamn smart. She is trying to cannibalize the support that Harris gets. To some degree, she knows that her supporters aren't really going anywhere, but she needs to make inroads in regards to other support, and she needs to carve that support out of the various candidates. I suppose she believes that Harris is the weaker of the candidates to carve that support out of. She's not going to hit Sanders. She's not going to hit Sanders. And hitting Warren is somewhat dicey in this. Harris, of all the people in the top four, is the weaker of the batch. And of all of them, I assume that she takes it as this is the person that she can carve votes out of. Whether or not that's true or not, we're going to find out on a debate stage. Look, it could be a draw, I suppose. I don't know what the draw looks like in this case. But she is going to have to answer for saying that this woman is not fit to be commander-in-chief. And again, if she can deal with that, you might see her get some publicity off of it. Let's see. Bernie or Guillotine 2020. If she wants attention, she needs to change her campaign slogan. Finally, a president that makes something other than just your life hard. That's wrong. That's wrong. I didn't know where that was going. That funny. Finally, a president that makes something other than your life hard. Tulsi 2020. She is extremely attractive. I give her that. She is extremely attractive. But I like her for a military position, not necessarily because she's attractive. Hasim, your thoughts 9 in the notion that Trump is quintessential example of if you're a rich white, you can fall upwards. He is. I've said it on more than one occasion. He is. Well, look, whatever you want to think of Obama, African Americans often say this. And I don't know how whites take it, but we often say it, that in order to, if you're African American, you have to be twice as good as your white counterpart. Obama went to college. He went to Harvard. And not just went to Harvard, he was the top of the line in Harvard. He was at Harvard Law Review in this case. He gets out, he does everything right from the standpoint of politics, including dumping the white woman that he apparently was in love with because it wouldn't be, in a political sense, the most advantageous position. He did everything right, including marrying, he could say we are a black power couple. He gets in office, becomes president of the United States. And even though he has scandals that aren't presidential scandals. Like, destroying Libya doesn't get considered a scandal. Whereas, Trump is ensconced in scandals. You have this guy who was a reality show host who lost $1 billion, was bankrupt like 4 times or 7 times, however many times he was bankrupt, can barely put 2 words together in a way that's intelligent and that makes sense. And he becomes president of the United States. How is that not a perfect example of what we just, of that? Like, whatever you want to say of Trump, whatever you want to say of Obama, just in broad terms, when you look at, this is Obama's career in life, this is Trump's career in life, this is what took for an African American to be president of the United States, and this is what could take place also. And they're literally side by side as examples. Yeah, I think that's true. I don't think that's false at all. I think it's a perfect example of African Americans need to be twice as good as whites for the same position. Dislike me for saying so, but it's true. I don't think that's an identity argument, politics argument. I think that's just a decent example of that particular case in point that African Americans tend to make. I'm just saying. I put it to you this way. There was no way for Obama. Herman Cain would be a Trump-like example for African Americans. Herman Cain, 999. That's his, again, whatever you want to think about Obama, he's a Harvard professor. Constitutional law. Yeah, it's a good example. It's a good example. Bernie or guillotine. Seriously, though, I supported Tulsi campaign and wanted her for Bernie's Secretary of State. Yeah, agree. But I canceled my recurring donation over a BDS vote yesterday. The BDS vote is shameful. The BDS vote is shameful. I'm sorry. And she shouldn't be defended for that. And if somebody is trying to defend her for the BDS vote, yeah, I'm sorry. That's sad. Look, you can support Israel. You could say, I want a persistence to the state of Israel. And I've never come on this show and say I want a dissolution of Israel. My issue is not the perpetuation of the Israeli government. My issue is that the Israeli government is subordinating and creating a military occupation on another country. That is my issue with that. My issue, has nothing to do with anti-Semitism, if that makes sense. It has everything to do with the state taking certain actions. I would feel that way whether that was South Africa. I would feel that way if the same thing was being visited on Jews themselves. I care about the subjugation. Pursuant to that, if you tell me, even if it's non-binding, meaning even if it doesn't necessarily have the resolution of law per se, even if you just say, well, look, this is just a protest vote to show that we're backing Israel. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. And that doesn't soothe me in that, because ultimately you've made a protest vote against the First Amendment. It is up for people in this country to be able to protest and say, I don't like a particular policy. I don't give a shit what the government is. The notion that you could say, I'm going to have non-violent protests against the government of Iran, for example. Do you honestly believe that they will be putting out resolutions saying that you can't protest the government of Iran for its subjugation of whatever? It'll be a lunacy. Of course they'll allow it. You have racist groups, the MEK, that members of this government work with the notion of toppling another government. No issue with that at all. No issue with that at all. The Saudi Arabia, that totalitarian government that is talking about literally executing a woman for getting and driving to protest. No issue with that at all. But protesting an apartheid state, don't take my word for it, take their word for it. They call themselves an apartheid state because ultimately they call themselves a Jewish state. You have other people who live in that country. I've been to that country on multiple occasions. And Tulsi Gabbard is going to sign her name to something that is one of the most American bills that you would ever put up. Even if it's a protest, it is ultimately a protest of the First Amendment. Yes, there are YouTubers protecting Tulsi Gabbard on this particular vote. Whatever you want to think of Tulsi Gabbard and her anti-war platform, you can like Tulsi Gabbard and her anti-war platform and still say, I disagree with her in making a protest vote against the First Amendment. Just saying, just being honest. Just be honest. That vote was deplorable. Black Leadership Analysis. Oh, thank you, man. Great channel. Thanks, dude. Yeah. I didn't have a recurring donation to Tulsi Gabbard. She damn sure won't get another one after that vote. And I have to be honest, the defense of it is sad. That's all. I'm going to make a protest vote against the First Amendment. But hey, it was just a protest vote, so don't think too much about it. Fuck that. Screw that. Screw that. That vote was atrocious. That vote was utterly atrocious. And look, my point is you can do both. When Sanders does something I don't like, I say I don't like it. It doesn't stop me from liking Sanders because that stuff runs on a spectrum to some degree. But at the very least, you can say I don't like it. Tulsi Gabbard makes a vote like this. I don't like it. I tend to like Ayanna Pressley. She made a vote saying for this exact same thing, this protest against the First Amendment. I don't like it. You could say it. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib got this vote right. And you should listen to what they said about this because it is right. When Sanders was asked about it, Sanders said, this is utterly absurd that I would vote on something going against Americans' First Amendment rights. But yeah, Ro Khanna is for it. And is out there trying to explain himself. And yeah, Tulsi Gabbard voted for it. And is trying to explain herself. And supporters of Tulsi Gabbard are giving her a pass on it. She should not get a pass. You can like Tulsi Gabbard. It doesn't mean you give her a pass on everything that she does. And this vote was utterly atrocious. There is no difference between people supporting Hillary Clinton as atrocious as she was when she was running against Donald Trump and couldn't say that she was atrocious. Or, what's his name? The one that was on MSNBC, Reverend Sharpton, Al Sharpton, who said, I would never say a bad word about Obama. That's a problem. You could support a person and still point out the fact that something is awful and atrocious. This vote was atrocious. And she should not be given a pass on this vote. I'm sorry. Feel how you feel about it. Feel how you feel. I'll leave it here. She isn't explaining herself. She is campaigning, but Nico is trying to explain why she voted for it during a levy. Look, Nico can do Nico. If he needs to explain why she wanted to make that vote, so be it. My horse is Sanders. And if my horse made that vote, I would be on this channel doing the exact same video saying Bernie Sanders voted for this. But fortunately, my horse didn't make that vote. My horse made the right vote. So I don't have to be on my channel explaining why my horse voted against the First Amendment. I don't have to do that. Not just that, I can make the video chest thumping that my horse didn't vote against the First Amendment. So, yeah. So shout out to Sanders for not having me to be forced to defend such a ghastly vote. I'll leave it here. Thanks all. Like, share. Nico is just into two-tone female feet. Oh God, that's funny. It's not just about the BDS issue. It was the wrong choice and appears to be a concession to the party. Yeah, well, Garden, I mean, I agree with you on multiple points. I mean, look, the issue is few points. It's the BDS issue in and of itself, meaning they watered down an attack against BDS, but the notion that you're going to attack a nonviolent movement and attack it in this way is just gross. The party wants this vote, meaning it was overwhelming support. And I agree with you, Garden. I suspect that there was political pressure within the context of the party itself to make this vote. There are some people who got it right. Tulsi got it wrong. And, they make this argument later on. Yeah, but we voted, to, support protests. So what? So what? Either way, I agree with you. It's a concession to the party, if you want to look at it that way. It's a concession to attacking a nonviolent movement against an apartheid state. And it's also an attack on the First Amendment. You can look at this in various ways. And all of these ways, it's bad. The only one way that is right is you may get more campaign dollars. And the Democratic Party may pat you on the back for making that vote. Your supporters hate it. Good job or good luck trying to explain it to them. You won't get another dollar from me. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.